Up 192 units over the past 365 days, Ralph Michaels and Akeem Profit to that number 1 and number 2 in NBA profit combined. Sitting in number 1 is Ralph Michaels at 107 units, and right behind him in number 2 is Akeem Profit picking up 86 units. For a limited time, you can get 7 days of NBA picks from both Ralph Michaels and Akeem Profit for only $69, coming out to less than $10 per day or less than $5 per day per handicapper. This special discounted price includes all NBA client releases over the next 7 days, including any rare 5% NBA best bets, generally priced at $35. You don't want to miss out on this 2-for-1 from our number 2 and 1.
Hey guys, welcome in on a very happy Monday to you. It is the NBA tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. As we got actually a pretty interesting slate of games here tonight in the association. We're going to break down a few of these games for you. We're going to give you a couple of best bets, and we're going to do it, of course, with three of the finest over at WagerTalk.com as we welcome back in the prop god himself, Mr. Andy Lang. Ralph Michaels, you guys just saw there with the promotion along with Ski Profit. Ralph hanging out with us. And I think for the first time we've had him on the NBA show with Brian Leonard back in action here for the tip-off show. Gentlemen, happy Monday to you. $9 Monday, in fact, which means best bets, $9 over at WagerTalk.com. You can visit Ralph. You can visit Brian. And, of course, Andy, I know you got something locked and loaded up there for $9 tonight. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Coming off a really good weekend. Had a great NFL weekend. Gave a couple units back in NBA, but really, really happy with the last few days. We got a 4% best bet that is up there. We have two client plays, and I'm going to go over one of them today on the show for everybody. But our 4% best bet is up at Wager Talk, only $9. And, yeah, you're right. Great slate of games, a lot of injuries. We're starting to get into that time of year where you got to look at the injury report before you make some of those bets. So really, really important. Check out those injuries.
Yeah, amen to that. A lot of the old, I hurt my toe kind of thing. Going to take a couple of days off. Ralph Michaels, what's going on, man? $9 Monday. I just saw the promotion with Ski. I think that's good for what? Till last day today to take advantage?
Last day, and hell, Andy, you don't even have to check the injury report. You just have to check the load management report. We talked about that. What a joke, the amount of minutes these guys are playing. Joe, you mentioned Monday. Take a look on the leaderboard. The 3-day, the 7-day, the 30-day. You'll see me in all three categories. I actually have 4 plays today. You're getting all 4 for $9. An NBA play, 2 college basketball plays, and an NHL release for $9. Head over to Wager Talk.
All right, guys, make sure you head on over there and check out Brian Leonard as well. Brian, we talked a little earlier on the college football show. I know you got a little Maction action going on, a little NHL as well tonight on your page for $9. Anything else here in the association for us?
Yeah, I did get one play up in the NBA. It's going to be a team total, and I've had a lot of success early on this year in the sports doing team totals, and this one seems to work out very well. And it's one of those games, as Andy talked about, where we've got a lot of injuries, and I think we can play this to our advantage in this one. And by the way, since it is the first NBA show I've been on, I've got to tell you, I love that opening. That graphic was really cool. Whoever chose that did a nice job. That's a nice one.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Yes, they did. Gentlemen, let us start with... Let's start off with our contrarian play of the day. Brian Leonard remembers this. The contrarian gods, they got a little something to say here tonight. They're a little pissed off. They made Tony Mejia look like he knew what he was talking about on Friday. But, hey, they're going to look, the biggest line on the board here tonight, and that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Why? Well, they're kind of playing that whole second leg of a back-to-back thing, but The public seems to love themselves some Celtics at home. They did play really early yesterday, though, against the Knicks, and they got to be exhausted from scoring 230,000 points in that game last night, so maybe they needed a little extra rest here, Andy. But the reality is, hey, listen, Oklahoma City continues to be a profiting machine this year, and maybe, just maybe, we're giving the Celtics a little too much credit here. What do you think about the Oklahoma City Thunder getting 12 here tonight?
Always riding with the contrarian gods. Yeah, give me those 12 points. But Boston has looked great, obviously, at times, but could be a nice little letdown spot for them if they see the Oklahoma City Thunder coming in off of a back-to-back. So I'll always take the points, and I'll always take the contrarian gods here. Couple of props here. It's an obvious one, but might as well keep playing it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 27.5 points. I mean, this guy just keeps delivering. And Boston's perimeter defense just is not as good and is not as locked down as it was at the end of the year last season. It makes sense. You know, it's the beginning of the year. There's no reason to go all out. But they're giving up 49 points a game to guards. Marcus Smart definitely does not look as aggressive or as fast on defense. And like I said, I get it. It's not the playoffs. There's no reason to, go that hard this early in the season. But Alexander's gone over this total in 9 out of 12 games this season. One of the games he didn't go over was a blowout where he played low minutes. The other one was against Milwaukee, best defensive team in the league. So I think Alexander should have another big game again here. I mean, they put this total at 27.5, and I'm still going over. He would be a big reason why they would keep this within 12 points. And then the other guy I'm looking at, Al Horford, you're seeing a pretty clear distinction here with games with Al Horford. So when you're looking at the Celtics, if they're on back-to-backs, or if you're looking at games where Al Horford sits out, just pivot over to Jason Tatum over his rebounds. It seems like when Horford sits out, Tatum takes a lion's share of the rebounds. But when he plays, Horford has been pretty good as an underplay, and I'll play him under his assists tonight. It's only 2.5. Doesn't sound like a very high number, but he's only gone over this total twice this season, only gone over once in the last 6 games. Passing and being the facilitator is certainly not his role on this team. And if this game does get out of control one way or the other, he's going to be the first one to sit. So I'll keep riding Alexander over his points, and I'll keep riding Al Horford under his assists.
All right, good stuff there. Ralph, it feels like the back door is going to be open in this matchup, especially the way OKC likes to get it out in transition. And we're not talking about your old Boston defensive efficient team here this year. What gives here tonight?
Well, we've seen Boston's team start to become a little more defensive efficient. Last 3 opponents, 42, 46, and 42%. I'm not going to mess with the Contrarian Gods full game, but I am going to mention this. I did look up the database. In all the games in the NBA since 1995, this is only the 10th time that a team has scored 130 points in back-to-back-to-back games. They scored 132 against Milwaukee at home, scored 132 against Toronto, and then scored 145 against New York in that game that you mentioned. What I'm going to look at is I am actually going to play Boston first half. Now, I gave out a client release on Boston against Detroit. Jaylen Brown ended up not playing. He's not on the injury list, so he's back. So that gives you both guards in this game. You look at OKC, and yes, their pace is incredible, but they turned the ball over 19 times at home against Toronto and on the road against New York. With the Knicks having their guards in play here, the Boston defense playing much better, them being interested at least early in this game, I like Boston first half. So I don't know if that's considering bucking the contrarians or not. You let me know.
Guys, what? No, good. All right, you're good, Ralph. Contrarian gods say you're all right on that side there. Not a problem. Full game. Brian Leonard, feels like there's going to be some points in this game. What do you think here about taking the 12 with OKC?
Yeah, I like it. Ralph talked about the scoring binge that the Thunder have been on, but keep in mind they've only been held to less than 103 points once all season. It is the second of a back-to-back for Oklahoma City, but Boston's also playing the third game in 4 days, and they're doing so against a team out of their conference. They just played Detroit, then they played Denver, who's out of the conference, but they're a contender, major contender. Then they play Detroit, and they've got Atlanta on deck. So third game in 4 nights against Oklahoma City, coming off of that win over Detroit. I'm kind of looking at just the opposite of Rolf, and that is I think Boston comes into this game a little slow off the trigger. And so I'm not as infatuated with Boston in the first half as he is. I think in the full game, Oklahoma City could stay under this number. I've been had a lot of success so far this season betting on Boston, finding my spots, and it's been good to do since they've only lost 3 games all year. But this has got to be a lesser situation for them. They just played Detroit, not a very good team. They got Oklahoma City, and then they get a day off before they go to Atlanta, a team that really should be in the playoff race this year. So I'll take the 12, and I'll root for Rolf in the first half of this one.
All right, there you go, guys. Contrarian gods. They're looking at the OKC Thunder getting a dozen here tonight against the Boston Celtics. All right, let's take a look here at an interesting featured matchup here tonight. One which can't decide how I want to play this one, but we're going to look here on Miami taking on the Phoenix Suns. This is -2 here and 215 as the total. Now, I believe this is the 5th and final road game for the Phoenix Suns here. Miami coming in with a little bit of rest. They've had their offensive issues. Still not sure if Tyler Hero's going or not for the Miami Heat. But, Andy, I'll start with you from a prop betting perspective. Anybody you're keying in on here in this game?
Yeah, I like Bridges to get over 13.5 points. Cam Johnson is still out, and Bridges went well over against Philly and Minnesota, but then he had 8 points on just a horrible shooting night against Orlando. He only went 3 for 13 from the field, and so I don't think this is a spot to run from him. I think this is a nice rebound spot from him. He's shooting 55.5% from the field this year, and if he gets back up to that shooting percentage, he should go over this one. I don't think he even made a free throw in that game. Miami gives up over 22 points a game to small forward. So I look for a nice bounce back game for Bridges. And then Kyle Lowry just keeps hitting his over rebounds prop. It's at 4.5 rebounds. He's gone over in 7 out of 8 games. He's coming off of an 11 rebound night against Charlotte. Phoenix gives up over 6 rebounds a game to opposing point guards. Again, Cam Johnson not in there, so I think that may help out Lowry a little bit. But Lowry and his rebounds is one of those that you just kind of keep playing night in and night out until he cools off. But this one's been red hot over the last about 10 to 12 days, so I'll keep playing Lowry over his rebounds as well.
All right, looking at Lowry over on the rebounds there. Chris Paul may not play, still seems to be questionable here. It's a 4-game leg on the road, and this is being the final night, Brian. But a couple of days off, I believe, here for Phoenix, so everyone seems to be well-rested coming into this one. Who do you like?
When I find a good basketball team when they go on the road, I think their goal is at least to win 50% of their road games, and they don't want to have a losing road trip. Well, they started off, they lose to Philadelphia by 12, then they beat Minnesota by 12, and then for some reason, they lose by 17 at Orlando the other day. Not only is it an embarrassing loss, it was so against an Orlando team who had struggled a little bit earlier this season. They're very young, and that was just a couple days ago on the 11th. Now they're playing in Miami, same state, so they're going to want to go 2-2 on this road trip before they come home. And their first game home against the Golden State Warriors, and Golden State well remembers that Phoenix 29-point win near the end of October in that earlier matchup. So I think we're going to get a good effort out of Philadelphia here. And the thing that concerns me about Miami, I thought Miami was going to be a go-against team this year. I didn't like their rebounding. They did win a couple games in a row here against Charlotte, but you go back and look at the teams they played. They beat Toronto, but then they lost the very next day against Toronto. They beat Portland, and then they lost the next time they played Portland. They end up splitting with Golden State. They beat Sacramento the other day. They swept the Charlotte, but they have not played a very tough schedule at this point. They did beat lose to Boston, second game of the season. probably the best team they played because Golden State's gotten off to a slow start. But this is after the 2 games in a row against Charlotte, they play Phoenix here. Then they face Toronto, who's a team who's got a lot of beat-up players on there as well. And then Washington. So they've been very fortunate with a lot of the teams they played with injuries. Playing here against Phoenix, Miami at home this year. They're 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 3-3, 3-4, 4-4, 5-4 at home. 9 of their 13 games have been at home, and yet they came into this game, I believe, with a losing record of 6-7. So they haven't proven anything to me. I thought they were going to be a play against team, and I think they're a play against team here tonight, especially in this range where the team wins the game, gets the cover. So we'll go with Phoenix in this one.
All right, looking at the Suns here, taking on the Miami Heat. It's interesting, Ralph. I mean, they still play some defense, this Miami Heat, but come the fourth quarter, they forget to score, and that's not usually the MO with Spoelstra and company, but it's what we've got here with this Miami Heat team. So who do you lean towards?
Well, you never stop learning on this show. Brian, thanks for letting us know that Orlando and Miami are in the same state. Appreciate that. Yeah. I didn't want to confuse that.
Travel, okay? They're not walking.
Joe, ESPN just did change hero to out today, so we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see as that. If you're going to have a clunker, you might as well do it in the same game. You look at Phoenix on the season. They never shot less than 43%. What did they do against Orlando? They shot 40%. Phoenix, every game but one, they've held opponents under 50% shooting. What did they do? They allowed 52.4% shooting. All but 2 games, they allowed 45% defensive rebounds or less. They allowed 50 rebounds. So you have your clunker. It's done. It was your 4th straight road game with some guys who sat out. But you look at Miami. Miami's offense has been non-existent as well. They had 1 good game against Charlotte. One note, I'm not playing the under game, but in my database when I pulled it up, when teams lost as an away favorite of 2 or more, and now they're on the road as a small dog, like this situation, going back to 2019, it's been a 63% underplay. So you're off a loss as a favorite. Now you're playing a competitive foe on the road. Over 150 games of sample size, 63% to the under. I'm just throwing that in. I'm going to go with something Brian said, splitting on the road. Listen, Phoenix has a 4-game road trip. Then in 2 days, they host Golden State. And then in 2 days, they go to Utah. So it's a very important spot for them. Final decision for me, leaning with the Suns. You look at Phoenix off a loss this year. They lost to Portland. They covered against the Clippers by 16. They lost to Portland. They covered against the Clippers by 8.5. They lost to Philly. They covered against Minnesota by 14. They're perfect off a straight-up loss. Miami on the flip side, 1-5 ATS off a straight-up win. The only game they covered was that last game when they played back-to-back home games against Charlotte. So in those roles, I look for them to continue doing those and certainly lead the Phoenix Suns.
All right, leaning the Suns here, guys. Should be an interesting one here tonight as Phoenix final game on this road trip. Now we'll go ahead and take a look here at an overtime game where we'll focus on the total. And interesting one here, too, is the Memphis Grizzlies. San Antonio Spurs, rather, taking on the Golden State Warriors. This continues to creep up a little bit here. Golden State plays 0 defense. That's apparent. But the problem is, I don't know, if Steph Curry doesn't score, are they going to score enough here to get up and over this total? So, Andy, kick us off here. How are you approaching this game? Anybody in particular?
Yeah, breaking news, Steph Curry's good and is probably going to score a lot of points, so I'll take his over tonight. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, for great information, like Steph Curry should score tonight. So, I mean, it's 30.5 points. He's only gone under 3 times this season. He's never gone back-to-back games with 31 or fewer points. He only had 27 against Sacramento. Clay is out. They were mentioning it in the chat about Klay Thompson's out tonight. Steve Kerr said Klay Thompson isn't going to play any back-to-backs this season. So if you see him play and he's got a back-to-back, just know he's 99.9% going to be out. This is a client play we do have for this game. So you got to take Jakob Poeltl over 11.5 points. We just go back to fading Golden State against centers. This is just a great matchup. Golden State gives up over 27 points per game to centers. Poeltl's gone over this total in 3 out of 4 games. The Warriors on that back-to-back. Last night, Domantas Sabonis absolutely destroyed him, had 26 points. I don't expect Poeltl to get to 26 points, but do not be surprised if he's up around that 20-point total against a tired and a little bit depleted Warriors team that just cannot guard anybody in the middle. So Poeltl over 11.5 points. That's a 3% client play for us tonight.
All right, good stuff there. Ralph, it just doesn't feel like Golden State and Steve Kerr can figure out the right combination here. And it's causing a lack of defense and teams to be able to drop a whole lot of points. And San Antonio's known this year to be able to do just that. So at this total, is it just simply an over or a pass for you?
No, I'm going to guide pulling the opposite line out. You look at Golden State's schedule. You start off the season, Lakers, Denver, Sacramento, you get yourself situated. Then, at Phoenix, at Charlotte, at Detroit, at Miami, at Orlando, at New Orleans, at Sacramento. They have 7 road games and 3 home games. You look at what they've done at home. Held Cleveland to 40%, held Sacramento to 40.7%, held Miami to 40.3%, held the Lakers to 43%. They are 2 completely different teams, home and away. At home, their offense is working. They're averaging 120 points per game, but they're holding their foes to 45%. On the road, they're a whole different story. They're 0-7 straight up, 1-6 ATS, getting outscored by 8.5 points per game. But they are at home in this role. They go to Phoenix again in 2 days, and this is the first road game for San Antonio. We've seen some big offensive numbers for them recently, but they were home Chicago, Minnesota, Toronto, Clippers, at Denver, home Memphis, home Milwaukee. So 7 out of 8 games at home for them. Now they're going on the road again, where on the road earlier, they shot 48, 46, and 43%. I actually like the under here.
All right, Ralph's going the under in this one. And Brian, what do you think here? Are you expecting a lot of offense, or are you leaning towards you think the under might be the best way to look here?
I'm not going to go the under, but that's some good home road dichotomy information to give out there. San Antonio has played 13 games this year. 7 times they've given up 124 or more points. You look at their road games, 134 that they've allowed, 105, 106, 134, 126. Golden State, we know, can light it up with anybody. I think Golden State gets their offense in gear a little bit tonight. Rolf did mention that they had Phoenix coming up, so that's a game they're pointing towards. Maybe this is a game where they get out and run a little bit here against a team that'll let them. I prefer the over here, but I liked his home road dichotomy information.
Yep, no, leaning towards the over, guys. 232, 233, somewhere in that ballpark, guys. Should be a fun one, to say the least, with Golden State and San Antonio. All right, so now it is time, of course, for everyone's favorite dog. And that's my dog, Robert. Throw it, man. Let's go.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
Oh, we got some interesting ones to choose from here tonight with the Orlando Magic, a small dog. You got Detroit, Phoenix, Oklahoma City. We got Houston, Atlanta, and there is San Antonio. So, Andy, start us off here of all of these dogs. Which one might be barking for you?
I'll go with Atlanta. +4. Drew Holiday out. That takes away just a really, really key piece to their defensive efficiency. And traditionally, Trae Young has just had his way with this Milwaukee team. So I would expect Trae to have a really, really big game tonight. And without Holiday, I'm not really sure where the defense is going to come outside on the perimeter. He traditionally has a lot of free throws against this team. So I can see the perimeter of Atlanta causing some real big problems. And without their facilitator, it's going to – you're probably going to see Giannis dribbling the ball up the court quite a bit. So it could be a little bit of a clunky game for Milwaukee. So I'll take Atlanta +4.
All right, like an Atlanta there for his dog. How about you, Brian Leonard? Which one of these dogs might be barking tonight for you?
Well, this is the first time I've been on the show, so this is a new segment for me. Is this in addition to our best bets?
Yes. Now, this is just any sort of throw shit against the wall, see what sticks here. What's your favorite dog here on the money line?
That's how I do all my plays. I like the way this Orlando team is playing. I know they've had some injuries to their number one draft choice and all, but this is a team with a lot of talent. I talked earlier about how Phoenix went in there and lost. I like the way this Orlando team is playing. Charlotte's a team, and I lost a couple on Charlotte earlier in the season, but now they're starting to play a bit more what I thought they would. Orlando's playing with a lot of heart right now. A lot of young guys. Once you win a little bit, you want to win a lot. I like Orlando in this matchup. Charlotte's coming off of a couple of losses, as I said, back-to-back to Miami. So give me Orlando. I'm surprised they're an underdog here.
Yeah, I am with you 100% on that one, Brian. And Ralph, how about it here? Were you sprinkling anything on the money line with these dogs?
Well, our producer Robert gave me $1 if I gave out the Houston Rockets. So, hey, if it's $1, I'm going to grab $1. You look at the Clippers. The Clippers, on the season now are 2-11 over/under. On the road, they're 1-5 over/under. They're only scoring 106 points per game. So anytime I have an offense on there that isn't in sync, it's going to be a lower scoring game. And you're taking a team like Houston, who, they may only be 1-8 their last couple games, but they covered at Orlando, beating Orlando. They covered against Toronto. And then against the New Orleans game on the road, they lost not covering the 10.5. But now back at home, I will take them. These teams played November the 2nd here in Houston. Clippers did win 109-102. Clippers shot 42%, though. It was the turnovers that killed Houston. In lieu of Robert, I will go the Houston Rockets.
Oh, look at Ralph sprinkle a little something on the Rockets for you. It's amazing. Can't wait to see how the buzzer doesn't work when you get around to it. All right, interesting stuff there, guys. It is now time to throw 60 seconds on the clock. So now we can get some best bets. Andy, you know how it works. 60 seconds, do whatever you want. Just make sure you give us a best bet in there. Where are you looking tonight?
Well, we got a 4% best bet that is up on WagerTalk.com. Encourage you to go get that. It is only $9. It includes that along with the Jakob Poeltl bet. So look to increase the bankroll through NBA props. Been having a really, really good season so far. Best bet today, Isaiah Stewart over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's gone over this total in 7 out of 9 games. The 2 games he went under were against Boston and Cleveland. Those are 2 very good teams defensively against bigs. Cleveland is 5th best against centers in points allowed. Boston is 13th best against centers and points allowed. What a great matchup tonight against a depleted Raptors team. They won't have Siakam, Gary Trent, or Van Fleet. They've got backups starting at the center position. So Raptors have given up 118 and 132 the last 2 games. And Miles Turner just went for 19 points and 10 rebounds against them last game. So expect a nice game from Isaiah Stewart against a very injured Raptors team.
Yeah, no, they are injured there. Good stuff, Andy. Ralph, you know how it works. 60 seconds on the clock. Where might you be looking here tonight?
Well, I'm going to go to a team total and take Boston Celtics over 120.5. I'm not using it just because of this trend or the small sample size, but I did go back and look. I told you there's only been 9 teams that have scored 130 in back-to-back-to-back games. When those teams have played in the last 6, the average game has been 236 points, and all of them have been 238, 246. All of them have been 238 or higher. I look at the defense. I think Boston, with their guard play, will get there. So I will leave the rest of my time on the clock. Boston Celtics over 120.5 team total.
I love it. Going up and over with the team total. How about it, Brian Leonard? 60 seconds. This is the best bet part of the show. All yours, man. What are you going with tonight?
All right, we'll go back to one of the games I talked about earlier, the Phoenix-Miami game. Like Phoenix here. And something I didn't mention, if you need more information, go back and watch the earlier part. But something I didn't mention, that over the last 11 games, the Miami Heat have played Toronto twice, Portland twice, Sacramento twice, Golden State twice, Charlotte twice. That's a lot of times you don't need to prepare for a new offense. Tonight they're getting Phoenix to come in there. It's a tough schedule spot for them. Give me Phoenix plus the 2.
All right, there you go. Phoenix plus the 2 here tonight on the road against Miami. And this is what we are looking at. Recap here, guys. We've got Andy Lang, his dog tonight. It's barking, and it's with the Atlanta Hawks. His best bet is going to be Isaiah Stewart over the 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists against that depleted Toronto team. And Ralph, well, his dog barking, and can you hear that sucking up sound? That is Ralph sucking up to our producer as he's going, Houston, +5 to get it done. But his best bet is going to be Boston, and that team total over 120.5. Brian Leonard, his dog going to be Orlando. Why in the hell is Orlando a dog? And he's going to go with the Phoenix Suns as his best bet to handle business on the road against the Miami Heat. The contrarian gods, they have spoken, and they think 12 is just entirely too much on the road against the Boston Celtics. And don't forget, it is $9 Monday, guys. What does that mean? It means all best bets are $9 right now at WagerTalk.com. So if you go to Andy's page, you go to Brian Leonard's page, and you go to Ralph's page, boom, best bets, $9 right now. You gotta love $9 Monday. No better way to start off the week with an increased bankroll here, guys, than taking advantage of $9 Monday over at WagerTalk. Visit Brian, visit Ralph, visit Andy, and make plans to come back and visit us again tomorrow. We'll have another slate of NBA action we'll break down for you. And until then, on behalf of Andy, Ralph, and Brian, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with all the plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.
Up 192 units over the past 365 days, Ralph Michaels and Akeem Profit to that number 1 and number 2 in NBA profit combined. Sitting in number 1 is Ralph Michaels at 107 units, and right behind him in number 2 is Akeem Profit picking up 86 units. For a limited time, you can get 7 days of NBA picks from both Ralph Michaels and Akeem Profit for only $69, coming out to less than $10 per day or less than $5 per day per handicapper. This special discounted price includes all NBA client releases over the next 7 days, including any rare 5% NBA best bets generally priced at $35. You don't want to miss out on this 2-for-1 from our number 2 and 1.